Kevin Magnussen, thanks for speaking with the Inside Line.
Thank you very much.
Obviously, it's been a long few months since Melbourne, and from what I understand, you've been in Denmark with your wife, doing a little bit of sailing and karting. And what's your experience been like over the past few months?
Yeah, just relaxing really, and trying to spend the time the best way possible. You have to find things to do, even though everything is shut down. So you end up doing things that you would never have time to do otherwise, like fixing stuff in the garden or reading books that you wouldn't read otherwise. Stuff comes up that you wouldn't normally have time to do, and it's actually been pretty good in a way. Of course, it's not been great in terms of the whole situation in the world is terrible with the virus, but the time that I've had with my wife and close family, that's been really good.
Obviously, Lewis Hamilton has come out and spoken about his fitness regime, going back to basics, sort of rebuilding his fitness. Given you haven't sort of been doing any of the virtual races, is that what you've been focusing on in terms of your fitness readiness to get back into it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of training in the garden and alternative training. I haven't been able to use the gyms until now. So it's been just training by myself in the garden, and I wouldn't say it's been 100% optimal, because you would want to train with your trainer in the gym every day for that to be optimal. But it's been really good in other ways, just to really take a step back and sit down and think about, you have a lot of time to think, so you start reflecting on life at the end of the day, and I think that's healthy. I think in a way that's something that most people should do, and most people have done in this period. So I think that this time has been positive for me as a person, and I'm sure other people feel like that as well. But obviously for the world as a whole, it hasn't been positive at all. But got to take the most out of got to take the positive out of even a negative situation.
You spent, in terms of mental preparation, you spent 2015 out on the sideline. Do you think that gives you a mental edge in terms of knowing how you're going to prepare best to hit the blocks running in Austria?
I think it's going to be pretty normal. I don't expect things to be, too difficult coming back after this. We drove the cars, a few days, got back into the rhythm back in February. And although that is still even February is a while ago, let alone the last race in December. But I think we will find the rhythm pretty quickly. I think the first two runs, maybe FP1, will be about getting back up to speed, just getting used to it. But it's not we're not going to be miles off. We're used to being out of the car for long periods of time and then come back and jump in and be fast. So it's I guess you can't really compare to other sports. Of course, if you took a tennis player and stopped him from playing tennis completely for half a year, he wouldn't be very good when he came back. But I don't know. It's an interesting experiment that we'll probably never see. But I don't know if he will be really bad. But I feel like we should be fine.
Obviously, going back to last year, it was a very tough season for Haas with an aero stalling issue at the rear of the car. Tell me about the back end of that year. Was it a relief in Abu Dhabi? Obviously, the team was coming to grips with its issues at the back end of the year, but how was that from your perspective?
Well, last year was a pretty tough year. We had some good races, but we had some very, very bad races as well, and poor performances where we really lost our way, and our expectations were all over the place. You never knew what to expect coming into the races, so it was a tough year with lots of disappointments, but some highlights as well. So yeah, I mean, we've tried to come up with a stronger car, a more consistent car this year, one that we can trust a little more, and one that will work in more different conditions and different tracks. And I hope we've achieved that. We tested it in winter testing, and it felt good, and it behaved well to set up changes and long runs, high fuel, low fuel. It seemed good, but you have to start the season. You have to work with it more on different tracks, different conditions to really get to know it.
One of the toughest things for Haas must be the sheer volume of workload, given you're one of the smallest teams in the pit lane and everyone's having to do two or more jobs in addition to their role. How important is it to keep the morale high in the garage, and how important is the driver's role? Is it more important at Haas to be there keeping the guys and girls at the very peak of their performance?
Well, it's certainly important that the drivers are leading the way with their positivity, and if the team sees that the drivers have lost their motivation or belief in the team, then that's not good. But that's not what's happening for us. I think we, as drivers, we are excited and enthusiastic, and I think it's in our nature to be positive and maybe have a little high expectations. So I think that's good. We're looking forward to getting started, and I think we both hope that we're going to be mega and fighting at the top. But we'll see. We'll just make the best of it, and when we go on track, just try and get as much out of the car as possible, and get the best results we can. You never really know what to expect in Formula One, and you can never know. You just gotta always go out there and try and pull everything out of your car and the situation.
We're now less than a month away until the season start in Austria. What do the next few weeks look like for you?
Just the same, pretty much. Training and waiting to get started, and of course, still have a good time and enjoy this last time at home with in my home country in Denmark and with my family. So enjoy that as much as possible. But I'm looking forward to getting back in the car.
Obviously, we're expecting a new norm in Spielberg, social distancing, COVID-19 tests, and teams keeping very separate. What are you expecting of that new closed-door racing?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be different and certainly strange, but just take it as it comes. Of course, stick to the guidelines and do what we need to do, and as long as we get racing again, then I'm happy to do all these things to make it happen. So I'm just looking forward to getting back in the car, to be honest.
And it's also going to be tough for the people in the garage and generally in the sport, given two triple headers separated by a single weekend. What are you expecting of keeping everyone motivated in the workload that everyone's going to be facing?
Well, it's certainly going to be tough for the guys in the garage. So our mechanics, they're going to be well tired after this, and it's going to be seriously tough for them. I mean, it's going to be tough for us as well, but in a much different way. The workload that we put on is a lot less. I think for us, it's more mentally. Being under pressure, being in that zone for 3 weeks in a row, times two. I think that's going to be tough for us. But for the mechanics, their work hours is something else, and for everyone really, even the catering and everyone involved will have a big job on their hands these next 7 weeks. But on the other hand, it's going to be great to come back, and I hope everyone is, I think everyone is looking forward to getting back to work. We've had a big break now, so we should be charged fully. It's ready to go.
more generally, obviously the big news in the last few weeks has been the F1 cost cap reduction to 145 million US dollars and the glide path from there. Does that give you more hope for the future, especially for Haas, but generally for the future of Formula One?
Yeah, it really does. It's something that I'm really excited about. Of course, I can understand that Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull would be less excited about it. But for someone like us at Haas, or all the other teams except for those big three, I think everyone will be really excited about it. And I think the fans should be excited about it. I think it has to mean closer racing. It will be closer competition between the teams, and at least it will give a bigger chance to the smaller teams of dreaming of winning a race, getting on the podium, and even maybe, who knows, in the future if budgets are the same, fight for the championship one year. But of course, it's still going to be those big teams fighting at the top for most of the time, because the best people, the best drivers, the best biggest engineers and designers, they will always go to the best teams. So I think at the end of the day, it's still going to be very, very tough to win, even though we have the same budget as the big teams. But let's see. I think it's going to be very much more exciting, to be honest.
What are your thoughts on the 2022 cars? Are you a fan of what you've seen so far?
I think it's difficult to say how they're going to look. I mean, we had this little taste. We had a little look at a car that Formula One came up with that was supposed to be like the 2021 rules, but I don't know if it's going to look like that in reality, with the teams going their own ways. And it is pretty tight what you can do with this new car. So I think the cars are going to look more similar to each other than they have in the past. But at the end of the day, we will get used to it. However, whatever it looks like, we've had big changes in Formula One, like when we had the tall, narrow rear wing in 2009, the big front wing that looked really strange to begin with, and we all got used to that. We tend to get used to it very quickly. So I think it's gonna. This new car, I don't think it looks as weird as the 2009 change. That looked really weird. This doesn't look as weird. So yeah, looking forward to see what it feels like.
Given the freezing of much of the development of the cars between this year and next, what are your expectations for how the pecking order might change across that time?
Well, it's hard to say. Depends who comes up with the best ideas, who makes breakthroughs in the wind tunnel in development. You can't say. So I think it's exciting. Hopefully, we don't even know where we are right now. So hopefully we're going to be good, and we can make some progress through the year. But I'm just excited to see where we have to start with.
You're a free agent at the end of this year. What have you started thinking about 2021 and beyond in terms of your career? Obviously, you've got a lot of potential still to unleash. What are your thoughts on what you've seen in the driver market so far?
Well, I'm not a free agent. That's not correct. So right. I still have a contract with Haas. They have an option, so it's not given that I'm there. But we will see through this season how that develops. I'm hoping to continue. I'm hoping to still be a part of the adventure at the end of this year and continue into next year. So just looking forward to getting started and see how it goes. Hopefully get some good results this year in the few races that we will have, and then take it from there.
And were you surprised about Sebastian leaving Ferrari?
I mean, yes and no. I can understand both. I mean, he's had a long career already and won four championships, and he doesn't really have much to prove in Formula One. And but if I was in a Ferrari seat, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't stop. So on the other hand, I can't understand it, but he would have his reasons, and it's exciting to see the new chapter of Ferrari.
Final question. Last year we saw plans for the Danish Grand Prix collapse, or they were looking at potentially holding one there. What do you know about the project? Do you think in the future we could see the Danish Grand Prix? Is there enough support in the country to have a full race there?
Well, I think from the public there is big support. I think people really want to have a race in Denmark. It would make most sense to have it in Copenhagen, and I think to close down the city and spend the money that needs to be spent, or at least invested, that takes some political will and power. So yeah, I think that's a big question whether it will happen or not. It was looking like it was going to happen, and I was getting really excited about having my home race. But for now, there's no plans, and we'll see for the future. Who knows?
Kevin Magnussen, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.